There is a common saying in aviation, in the world of flying: aviate, navigate, communicate. You'll hear this a lot, both in the Air Force, where I was. Also did a lot of joint work with the Navy. When I went through navigator school, my class was half Navy, naval flight officers, half Air Force navigators. This theme, aviate, navigate, communicate, is said over and over when you're learning at the beginning by instructors, and it drives home an important factor. The important truth it drives home is how you should prioritize when you are in the air. You see, it's in the order that you should prioritize. Aviate is most important. Fly the airplane. Don't fall out of the sky. That's number one, aviate. Number two, navigate. Don't get lost. Number three, communicate. That's the last one. So really, when you hear this, aviate, navigate, communicate, don't forget aviate, navigate, communicate. When you hear this and you're learning how to fly, how to navigate, the truth that you're learning from this phrase that is so often repeated is that the most important thing is not talking on the radio. The most important thing is not communicating with air traffic control or communicating with your other aircraft or even communicating with the crew in your aircraft. The communication is very important, but it's not nearly as important as staying in the air and not flying into a mountain. That would be the aviate, navigate. The reason why this has to be said is because when things are going crazy and you're doing three things at once, it's easy to misprioritize. It's easy to put returning your radio call to ATC above navigating. And that would be a huge mistake. It would be a huge mistake to get your radio call perfect and fly into a mountain. It would be a mistake to have your navigation done perfectly and know exactly what your heading should be, but you fell out of the sky because you allowed your airspeed to get too low. So, aviate, navigate, communicate. All three are important, right? When we say this, we don't mean communication is not important. It's extremely important. But when important split-second decisions have to be made, it's not as important as aviate, navigate, okay? The same principle. I am seeing this be true in politics right now in America. I've had a lot of conversations with some really great people that are misprioritizing, and they're falling out of the sky because of it. You see, there's all kinds of important issues. There's so many important issues. There's almost an endless supply of important issues, and every single one of them is important. Fiscal responsibility, spending, the border, the environment, the climate, technology, energy, foreign trade. What else could we make decisions based on? So many things. What's this candidate's position on blank? We could make a whole list of these issues and try to put them in the order of priority, like aviate, navigate, communicate. Which one's at the bottom? Well, we can all choose to disagree on which ones are at the bottom, but I'm going to tell you the issue that is at the very top. This is the equivalent of Aviate. This is the equivalent of don't let your plane get too slow and drop out of the sky. And that's the killing of unborn babies. You see, when it comes to who we vote for, that is the issue. That's not an issue. That's the issue. Because if we get that one wrong, then it doesn't really matter about the other ones. At that point, you are polishing the silverware on the Titanic if you are making anything other than abortion the issue. You see, when you're in the jet, you've got to aviate above all else. Then you can worry about navigating and communicating. You think about these issues, all the other issues we could list, the environment, taxes, border security, inflation, foreign trade, defense spending. We could put all these things in order, and they're all kind of like how you direct the country, steering it, navigating it. And then communicating. We want to vote for a president that communicates well, that's a good speaker, that represents us on the national stage well. Those are important things, the navigating and the communicating, but they're not as important as dropping out of the sky. And as Christians, if you are voting for a candidate who is going to make killing unborn babies easier, then you have got your priorities wrong. It's that simple. I had a guy, this was like years ago in the first Trump election, had a Men's Alliance guy come up to me, very passionate, very upset about Trump's mean tweets. And he's looking at me and he's like, have you read his tweets? Oh my gosh, have you read his tweets? And I was like, no, actually, I'm not on Twitter. Why? Why is this concerning you? He was like, he's such a jerk. He's so rude. You know, I wouldn't disagree with the guy. Like I said, I don't know. I'm not reading his tweets. I know that he's pretty famous for mean tweets, but no, I'm not on Twitter personally. But I'll tell you what he's not doing. He's not advocating and celebrating the murder of innocent unborn babies. We've got to keep our priorities straight, men. If you are allowing anything to become more important to you than where a candidate stands on abortion, you have a major log in your eye that I want you to check. You need to check how you were thinking. Because here's your litmus test. Here's my challenge to you if this is rubbing you the wrong way right now. Name a topic more important than not killing babies. Go ahead. If you can name a topic more important than that, if you think the environment more important, is saving the planet, is green energy, is not posting mean tweets, can you name anything more important? I can't. And that's why I'm making this podcast. If you can, I'd love to know what it is. Send me an email if you've got a topic that you think is more important to base your vote on than preventing the murder of unborn babies. Already killed more than every single war that America has ever been involved in combined. We kill more babies than that. It is the most shameful thing about our country, and that's the reason why it's the equivalent to Aviate. When we prioritize our Aviate, Navigate, Communicate, it's abortion, and then it's everything else follows. So I think this is so important for us to get right, for us to understand as barbarians who are going against culture and ambassadors who are representing Christ, and as leaders in our family, not only do we need to know this in our own hearts and minds, but we need to be able to articulate it to our family members when it comes up. We need to be armed and ready to discuss it. Now, I'm going to give you guys in next week's mission brief an argument against abortion. Okay? The acronym is SLED, S-L-E-D. It's been around a while, and it is strong and powerful. But today I wanted to start off with telling you why it's the number one priority when you go into the voting booth. Guys, we've got to be praying for our country. We've got to be praying for its leaders. Whether you like the leader or not, you've got to pray for the leaders of our country. That's what Paul demands that we do as Christians. And, I want you guys to think about it this way. Human life is more important than animal life. It's more important than plant life. Human life is more important because we are made in the image of God. You see, God created everything else, but then he made mankind in his image. That's what makes us different. That's what makes us unique. We have a soul. That's what makes us different from plants and animals. And as Christians, we should not prioritize anything above human life, the sanctity of life. And this is why, with the limited time and the limited resources that we all have with families and jobs, I cannot imagine how a Christian could choose to spend their time, spend their energy on anything other than investing in human lives. Whether you are working at a soup kitchen, trying to help feed the homeless, that's helping human lives. Whether you're trying to prevent single moms, teenage moms from having abortions, that's protecting human life. But when I see things like climate hysteria, saving the animals, rescuing animals, saving trees, that is actually elevating plants and animals above humans. Now, maybe you've got the time to do all of it, but I sure don't, and I don't know anybody else who does. So as a Christian, prioritize. Yeah, I'm all for the environment. I'm all for the climate, and I'm all for saving animals, but none of those things are a higher priority to me than saving human lives, because we're made in the image of God.